Yeah.
I'll give you his email after this.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That'd be good.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Bannock County Commissioners are back in session, and we're here with Great West Engineering Scale House Design. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, and let's get started.
Okay. Dylan Evans, landfill manager.
I'm Stephanie Becker with Great West Engineering.
Okay.
Did you guys have a chance to look through this at all yet, or where do you guys want to start?
We got basically 3 designs, right? What's your desire?
The option one is the one that we definitely put the most information and time into. They did a lot of the gradation work already, so that's kind of involved in what this is. The other options are good options. I love the $10 million option, but I don't think that that's probably going to work out.
Well, let me tell you, it isn't.
That's where we stopped. We actually did do a lot of the grading design on all of these just so that we could get a feel for how much earthwork there was to give us a cost estimate. And once we realized that the $10 million option was $10 million, we changed our focus to alternative 1. Alternative 3 has quite a few issues to it that we tabled as soon as we couldn't work out the steep grades. We couldn't get rid of those. So then we turned back to alternative 1 again.
Okay.
Do you guys want, I have bigger drawings if you'd like those.
We can just review.
Okay.
And
Do you want to go through it or do you want me to?
Go for it.
Okay. So I assume, I hope you guys have had the unfortunate pleasure of going out there on a Saturday when the landfill was backed way up to like the railroads or the railroad. That's a huge concern. You know, it's a safety thing and that's a timing thing. The public doesn't like that. The other thing that is a huge issue are those steep grades coming in and out of the scales, both directions, and then the safety issue with the public crossing the outbound traffic into the office, and it's a blind hill, and there's just a lot of issues there. It's hard wear and tear on the trucks, and then coming down off that steep hill into that outbound scale, it starts to destroy the asphalt. They're stopping hard. So there's a lot of things, a lot of reasons to move that scale. There's a lot of ways to do that, and I feel like we captured most of those ways in alternative 1. That site, of course, you know, is real hard. It's on a big steep hill. We'd love to cut off that other side hill, but that looks like
we're too far apart.
Very large project.
I might as well look at your map.
Oh, here, I have more.
I mean,
oh, you want to look at it with me?
No, let's just
Okay.
stand. I mean, you want to come over here, John, and so you look at, we're all just looking at the same page?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yep, for sure. I haven't really talked about much yet. I will show you
I'm
the,
just going to stand here so we are all looking at the same thing.
so this is what I was talking about. This is the existing, these really steep ups and then steep coming down here. Those are huge issues. And then you only have about 1,000 feet of queuing from the gate to the scale. So this one, this is the preferred alternative. This one busts people off here, and if you tour other transfer stations and facilities with scales, landfills, they like to have a big meandering roadway, entranceway, one for additional space to stack more cars in there, and then to get people to slow down. You know, if you're driving through a subdivision, there's lots of curves. There's a reason why they design them that way, is to get people to slow down as much as possible. So on this one, we have everyone coming in, meandering in. On all of the alternatives, we had this same setup of 3 scales, 1 scale house. So the public can come in and talk to the scale house. They're on the one closest to the scale house. They're talking to the scale house. The public can come into here if they have just recyclables, and then they can leave. If they have a mixed load and they don't want to pay for their recyclables, then they can come in, dump recyclables, but then they have to get back in line. With this site, it's really hard to let them bust off of there early, I suppose we could let them come in this way, but then that's a weird traffic pattern. So that's something we have to work out in design. We just made sure we had enough space for all of that. So we're hoping that we can maybe get like a small tipping area, so like containers up there for those smaller loads, so we can keep people away from the working face and get
Get a
rid
lot
of that
Cars that
congestion.
bring weird things, odds and ends, and then winter conditions, muddy conditions, things like that. We could actually defer some of the smaller, personal vehicles to a
Like
Z-wall down
pickup
the bottom.
trucks and, yep, just to drop it off, and it'll just, and that's a hope of ours, to be able to get it in this project. We can talk about how we might do that later, but, so there's room for that here. There's room for tire collection, because right now it's back up here, and this is too tight. The employees park in here, and the public, I've watched them go flying through there, and it's an unsafe area. We don't want the public up here, so we'd rather them be away from everything. So like tires, white goods, all the special goods, we could just keep it down here, and then they can leave. Or if they really have to, they can go up to the facility or up to the landfill, and then the public will come back down, come back and talk to the scale house, and then leave. The commercial trucks like Chubbuck, Pocatello, is Bingham County one of them? So all of those guys with their tear weights, so we know their dry weights, can come in, use this outside inbound lane with like an RFID reader on a kiosk, and they can scan it, they know what truck it is, and then they can come up, dump, and then just leave. So that, with splitting that traffic, that really helps with that congestion there. And then making sure that there's more room, now we're not back up onto that railroad track. Another way in the future, so what we have here is we have additional room to put a second outbound scale. That's another option for in the future, so we'll just make sure we have room for it. That could be somewhere where you have credit card transactions or other kinds of transactions. You can kind of set up your computer system a little bit different, where maybe they have their own, QR code on, if they have their own identifying card that has a QR code. Or like Ada County in Boise, when you go through, you get a ticket like you would at a parking lot, at a parking complex.
Yeah.
And then you go back out, it grabs your weight, and then it grabs your weight on the way out, and you put your parking ticket or scale ticket back in the machine, and then it charges you or not. When I went through there, it was just for a tour. I went in there and I didn't have any weight change, so they just let me out. So that's another way to do it. It's just a different setup in the computer system. Once you have the infrastructure in, then the software and the kiosk setup, it's pretty easy to change, relatively inexpensive compared to the rest of the setup. So this, I'll show you what the profile of that looks like. So instead of having this big steep grade, we flattened it out. We flattened it out a whole lot, so that these trucks, the cars, everything, they're not stopping and going on a steep hill. They're not flying off this hill and causing who knows what issues, and they're not destroying the pavement. It's just a much safer alternative. And then we tie in back up here, we tie in up here past the scale. So we would demo those scales, or we would demo that scale house, get rid of those scales. Once we're about in here, then we'll just have to figure out how to work around them, but hopefully we would have this operational before we have to get rid of that. And then we would just have a little bit of construction traffic, just everyone's used to construction traffic on your interstate, so it's just a little bit different there. Do you guys have any questions on that, on that part of it? We'll have the ability to have water, sanitary sewer, power. We'll have, they won't have to go in a blue room. They can go.
That's the whole reason I started this
Yeah.
4 years ago.
Yeah,
So, just right here though,
yeah,
in the flow
yeah.
with this road,
This is
we're still going across,
Yeah.
or
This is the new one.
this is,
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna vacate this part of the road?
No, we need to keep that because this right here is a, we'll put a gate here. This is for this subdivision, I understand. There's like an industrial subdivision going in over there.
We don't own this property, I know that.
Right, yeah. So apparently, from what I understand, that someone owns all of this and they're gonna put an industrial subdivision in here. So we need to keep that intersection open for that person. So we would fence this off so that no one can cut that corner. It would all be, so there would be a fence in here so that these guys
In
can still
essence, so this would
access.
come up and dead end.
Yep.
Because of the gate.
Yeah.
Okay, that's,
Yep.
because that's what I was concerned
And we can put a
about.
turnaround in there also, so that if someone, misses the scale gate, they can turn around and go.
If all this traffic's gonna cut across here, I was worried about.
No, yeah,
The
nothing.
flow, well-
No, everything will come this way.
But except that whatever happens in
Yeah.
here will come
Right.
back down this road. And
Yeah.
We'll still be cutting cross traffic there.
Including employees that are just coming up here, this will be the only source of traffic then.
Well, we can work that out. It kind of depends we could maybe put in their own entrance with like a keypad gate or something so that they could skip that part. We could grade this so they could jump in here and go that way.
I would like to leave that as access as well for when we're gonna transport equipment in and out. It'd be a lot easier with a heavy, machine on their
Yep.
truck to go straight out versus to navigate the, complex turns.
And we can work all of that out through grading, and these are just conceptual, just to make sure that for when it's feasible to do all of what we want to do there, and then get a cost estimate, see how much we want to bite off.
Okay.
Any more on this? So right now I proposed platform scales. Dylan talked to me about pit scales. Right now you guys have pit scales. There's issues with pit scales, but there's issues with platform scales. All of my other clients have moved away from their pit scales and gone to platform scales. Pit scales they're more, I did a cost estimate based on platform scales. Pit scales are more expensive. There's a confined space issue. They're yucky to clean out. Someone has to go in there. They can jam up with ice. A platform scale can also jam up with ice. They tend to be easier to clean out because you can see underneath of them. I know there was concern about people getting off of the scales, but we've retrofitted the scales to have catwalks so that whatever driver can get out of their vehicle, go on the catwalk down. I do have photos of all of those things too. So there's.
That's on your PowerPoint?
It's on this, yeah. So that's something that we need to look at a little bit more. That's something that we need to vet out because your scale guy said that he prefers to have pit scales, right?
Yeah, he likes pit scales. I don't know if it's just personal preference or what, but there's some considerable undertaking that needs to be done if we're gonna continue to use those scales as well. To get in the underneath subs and all the framing and everything's got quite a bit of rust to it. And, there's gonna be some TLC if we continue to use the ones we have. And after speaking with her and all of her clients, they all love the above ground scales. Seems like they're a lot easier and safer to work on with the catwalk edition. I think it'd be perfect.
Do you ever do confined space training?
Yes.
Do you have the monitors? Do you have the whole bit?
Yeah, we have all the methane potential stuff up there, so we take the confined space pretty seriously. We have, spotters, we have harnesses, we've got the extraction tools, we've got the PID monitors, and it's a lot easier if you don't have to do it.
I used to do that training
Yeah.
for Ash Grove.
Not fun.
No. Let's see. So we can look at scale houses. I put some scale house examples in the report you got. However, I put in some additional photos in that PowerPoint that I passed out, and I can, I'll email that to Dylan and to Jeff, and then it can be passed on to everyone. On the very front, that bottom one is Gallatin County. That's in Logan, Montana, so outside of Belgrade, outside of Bozeman. When we built this original building, they wanted pit scales, and they installed in 2020. So on that right-hand photo on the right side, they installed an additional outbound scale. Their system works a little bit different than yours. They chose to go with a platform scale, and they prefer the platform over the pit scale. And they were the ones, so if you go to the next one, you can see the catwalks. They're the ones that installed the catwalks along it with expanded metal, and they're safe. They're not slick. We were concerned about that, but you can always get the textured ones also that are, safe in the winter. So that's how they preferred to go about their day. They have their commercial truck drivers get out of their trucks a lot. So they haven't had any issues. I mean, it's also the public. Someone's going to fall on ice somewhere, but these are fairly safe.
They shouldn't be
relative.
getting out though.
That's correct.
Blackfoot does, when they pull their tag axle, they get out to lift their axle off. I think that our new scales would be long enough that they wouldn't actually have to do that. They would still want to pull their tag axle before they went up the hill, but we could do it in a different variation or.
We can have a pull off maybe after the scale.
Yeah.
It is nice to have at least a catwalk just in case they have to get off. If there's an issue with the kiosk or there's going to be a reason why someone might need to get off there, so it's better just to have that abilities rather than step
It's a
just straight on
safety
that
factor.
rail and slip off of there. So for safety, it's better to have those on there. So in those, you can also see the kiosk way up at semi truck height. That would be the one that you would have on your second inbound, so that they can just reach out there. And do you have account numbers for them? Okay, so they could type in their account number. You could assign an RFID with it or a QR code or something. These kiosks are super flexible. They print receipts if you need to. They have intercoms that talk to the scale house, so they work very well. On this facility, we had drop arms on it. So that no one could leave the scale until the drop arm went off. Everyone kept hitting them. So that's an option to have those, but it was actually the truck drivers that should know better kept hitting them. As soon as the drop arm would start to go up, they'd go. So it's
Professionals.
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. So
I don't think we need drop arms. I
Yeah,
think
they're-
if we have a problem,
right.
we'll invite them not to come back. They
Perfect.
can take it somewhere else.
So there's the problems that we learn, there's always, we should do that. That'd be a great idea. And then we find out why we shouldn't. So we've done lots of these. We have a lot of, we shouldn't do those things, and here's some good things. So there's the next page 3 is more of Logan landfill. We just did that project a few years ago, so that's why we have so many good photos of it. If you go to page 4, this one's in Walla Walla. Our Boise office did this one. This one is actually, so Logan landfill is a stick-built one. This one's a modular one. We can make them look however we want to. Modular ones are pretty flexible. You can make them look nice. Paint, landscaping around them. All of that can make it look pretty. The scale house is the first impression. So it's nice to have something that looks nice, and we can do whatever we need to do. Landscaping is relatively cheap compared to the rest of this project. Aubrey would really love some planters out there with some flowers, so you shake your head, that's what she asked for.
That's what she asked
We're gonna
for.
give her what she needs.
No, we're not. It's a landfill.
You can give her a basket with some flowers out front. Let her bring her
There's
flowers.
artificial plants.
So this one,
Not wasting water on them.
our cost estimate is based on a modular building. They're cheaper. As far as how much cheaper, I don't really know. I haven't spoke with an architect about that, but I do know that they're less expensive. But we can, in the next phase, get with the architect and say, all right, what is your approximate cost for a building like this? Price per square foot, ballpark. and then we decide, okay, well, let's actually go down the art, like the actual stick-built building, that's a little bit more architectural.
Well, we have a Dan,
Yeah,
You have a what?
Dan,
A Dan?
yeah,
a Dan.
Is that,
He's over our buildings.
yeah.
oh, so he wants nice stuff?
Hey, well, he just,
He makes
anything we
things
ask,
nice.
it'll look
What is-
great.
Good.
Guaranteed.
If we have to do any work ourselves to cut costs or whatever, then
Oh, I
Dan,
gotcha.
Dan will do it,
Oh,
and he's brilliant, so.
well, perfect. Perfect, we have a Dan.
We have a Dan.
I like that we have a Dan. Is Dan an architect, or he's just a guy that really
Builder.
likes, a builder, so he really likes to do nice things?
Oh, he's just talented.
We have a Hal too, that's an architect, so
Oh, nice.
we're pretty covered.
Well, this is perfect. A Hal and a Dan. I like this. I have a Matt that we subcontract with. He's great.
Okay.
We can all put our heads together. So I think when we get into design, then we'll work on the, the little bit more details of what this scale house is gonna look like. There's a million ways to skin this cat. Ultimately, from what I understand, we need some windows up front. We need a door or two. We want sliding windows to talk to people. One of these photos, they actually have like a bank tray thing if you want to do that, if you want to keep people away, or if you just want to, or even in yucky weather or something, keep your scale house attendants out of the weather. Or they can just open the window. I mean, there's a million different ways that we can do this. That's definitely a little work session of what works for your scale attendants. What do we think the public's gonna like? What is that? Shaking the floor.
Truck went by.
Oh. Okay.
You're the only one that noticed it. The rest of us are used to it.
So there's just so many different ways. There's a lot of things that I've seen that we don't want to do. So if you go to page 6, the bottom 2 photos are City of Billings landfill. This is their new their new scale house. This one's a stick-built building. That building's like $500,000 in 2019 rather. So, ouch. And that's not much bigger than the other ones that I've shown you. So they can be very super expensive if we want to get really elaborate. But it's kind of up to you. This one is built, everyone complains about this building is built too high out of the ground. We didn't do the design of this one. The floor gets cold, so there's things that we'll consider there. These ones have really tall windows for them to open, so they can only open about this much, and because they're really tall, they can't reach the top, so it so they can't actually slide the thing over. So it's a matter of speccing appropriate windows, and ones that are, if we want a big tall window, maybe just the bottom opens or something like that. So there's things that we've learned along the way from our things that we've designed and then what other people have designed. And then if we go to page 7, I went on the internet and just found some other things that, different ways to do it. There's the CMU block buildings, there's brick, there's any way you want to do it, we can do it. Some of the facilities like it so that it's a building, and then where they talk to the customer, it's like a jut out, kind of like like a Burger King or something, where it might jut out a little bit so that they can see. Little things like that. It gives a little bit more architectural detail to it, a little bit fancier, not that expensive. Ton of different options. And then the very last photo was one that Aubrey found that she just really loved. She loved the red and the white and the planters out front with the
How
tires.
often's Aubrey even in this building?
She goes out there every day, but
For how long?
it's a little extreme. Like, come on. I know you're excited.
Aubrey
about it.
doesn't get an opinion, sorry.
I just had to put it on there, and I just had to show
That was
you.
very kind of you. She still
She's
doesn't
probably
get an
watching this right now.
Probably.
They're not
Hey,
even
Aubrey.
listening to me.
Oh, well, she might be. No, she said she had to leave at 11:15.
She can watch the recording.
So that's what I have for the scale house. They can be super basic, super fancy. I feel like we should meet somewhere in the middle. It would be nice for the public to see something nice, But we don't have to break the bank on something like that. I did provide scale information, scale kiosk information, so you guys can look and see what all of that looks like. A couple simple floor plans of scale houses. One of Walla Walla. One is one that we got of a modular. We just told them what we were thinking, and it turns out it's just about the exact same as this Walla Walla one, which is attachment B, typical scale house example. So there's just lots of different options that we can do there. Ultimately, you guys need something. It's not so bad out there right now because it's a Thursday. When I got out there, at 10:15, but it gets bad. The last one, attachment C, the convenience site. This is what I was talking about the container site. We call it a Z wall. The customers come in up top and they drop into the bin below, and it will just keep a lot of people out of your working face. That's a huge safety concern, getting people up there. And these are relatively cheap, especially compared to the rest of the project. When we go to do it, we can design one and then bid it as an additive alternate. So then if the whole project comes in at a budget you guys are good, then you award that part. Or if it doesn't come in, then you kick that part out. So we can do that with lots of different other features. You know, if there's a scale house modification that you might want, but you don't have to have it, that can be an additive alternate. Again, you can award it however you want to. So it's just more flexible that way.
So, ballpark figure, what are we looking?
I can't remember what we had talked about the other day even.
I know 4 million was
But
in
it
there.
was right around.
I think she said 4.1.
Yeah, it's right at just under 4.2 million, I think. So farther under that we can stay, the better.
We have 2 contractors that I've worked with. One of them was Gail Lim, who finished up the phase 4 cell, or phase 2 cell 4. Wait,
Yeah.
is that right?
Cell
I get
4
it.
phase 2.
Thank you. I get it backwards. They're excellent. They are ready. They have availability starting like November, which would be about the time that we would have this ready for design. I talked to them about a different project a couple months ago, and they are booked solid until October, November, and then they're ready to do something. Another company out of Utah, Whitaker, I worked with them in Bonneville County at the same time we were working on with Gail Lim. They are excellent, and they are in the same boat of they are super booked until about October, November. I talked to them about, what about this earthwork, and they don't have a problem with getting the earthwork started, ordering the scales, start working on the scale house. So there's a lot of work that can be done over the winter. I assume a winter shutdown if you guys get a lot of snow, but probably not for too long. So hopefully we're operational next summer.
Well, it's time to do something with this. Been on the books for a while.
Yeah.
Any questions, John? Nope. Jason, anything?
Nope.
So what are you wanting today?
We would like your guys' recommendation to move forward with the alternative 1 so we can begin the finishing, the planning, and engineering.
Okay. I was gonna wait until Jeff's here, but I think just, we're in these early stages, it's okay to move forward. We need to move forward. You making a motion? You want me to?
You can make it.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and authorize Great Western Engineering to move forward with Design 1. And keep us updated, and then
Sure.
we'll see where we go out for bid.
I will say that part of this is we can use a whole lot of what we did here to continue with design. So as far as like the road, that was a lot of our design. That's a big piece of the financial pie. And that is probably 30-40% design. So it's what we've done, we're taking to the next steps. So we're not going back to the drawing board.
So
to do
the
this
road is
design.
in the bid?
The road, oh yeah, the road will be in the bid. It'll be the whole package. That's, in that cost estimate, I had about $4 million, and that includes all the road. And the road is the most expensive part.
So that, there are some options there. If
We got a
decide to
road
do some-
department.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some internal.
I
We
mean,
could get with Daniel and see if, you know, if that's the direction we want to go, keep some of that stuff in-house, we could have road and bridge. do
well, I think you bid it, and then we talk to our people, and those are parts that we can take out.
Yep.
That's what I've done out here on 6th Street and stuff. I mean, because we need the overall cost of kind of what it's gonna cost, because if we're able to do it cheaper through our own people, then that'd be good, but we still need the ballpark figure of what this project's gonna cost us
Yeah.
all. Okay, we have a motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, you got some
Awesome.
directions.
Perfect.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
What's your timeline?
I don't know.
We talked about that before we came down.
I'm hoping, I mean, that's our goal, is to have plans, specs ready to start bidding September, October, so that we can have someone start this year on it.
And how much is Shanda involved in the bidding process and all this?
She'll be more now, so this was kind of where we were at with the process. Now that we're gonna move forward, we'll finish getting the engineering specs, and then we'll get Shanda back involved.
Okay.
Shanna's gonna be very happy that you made the motion today, I can tell you that.
No, tell her I put it off.
Okay. Okay.
Tell her and tell Aubrey. Aubrey, we're gonna move her office in there.
Yeah.
She wants control over this